love it so much. That is a theme song to the epic movie of our lives, my friends. That's what that song is. That song is there to remind you the bigness and the fullness of what's possible. Hi, everybody. Let me take a little look at you. Hi, everybody. Oh my God, I see so many great friends. So many great friends. I'm so glad. Oh, I love it. I can't even imagine what's going on when your camera's not on. What's happening? Is it your hair's not done? Is it you're
I'm picking my nose.
there you go. Okay, well then then it would be good. It would be good to be off camera for that. Hi everyone. Well, I'm really excited about this conversation tonight that we're going to have because I've been thinking about it a lot. I've been thinking a lot about the power of intentional friendship. And I started talking about this a couple years when I used to do the podcast with Nancy. And we had a wonderful guest on, Lori Harder, for those of you who know her. And she had come out with a new book called A Tribe Called Bliss. And we were having a conversation, and in the middle of it, I go, oh, in my language, I would call this intentional friendship. It's it's different than your ordinary run of the mill friendship. So I've been thinking about this for a long time. And of course, I've had my own experience with friendship, which continues to morph and change. And, I'm going to grab you. I'm going to shake you up for a second and tell you, unless you've given this conscious consideration, it is entirely possible you have no real friends. Woo! I know that's some icy cold water, isn't it? And of course, I am being I'm exaggerating, but I'm exaggerating to make a point. And as I walk you through this, I think you're going to I think you're going to see what I'm talking about. I think you're going to see what I'm talking about. So, when do we begin to get our concept of friendship? And I was thinking about this for myself. Certainly it was school. It was that sense for me that ultimately turned into codependency and boundary issues was not wanting to sit alone at lunch, wanting to have a pal to go to class with, wanting to have somebody to walk to school with. Um, um, and and I wouldn't necessarily say, it was filling a void, wanting not to be alone was a little bit of that was the driver. And because my mother was not trained in quantum and spirituality, was really just going to church on Sunday. My mother did not have the tools, nor did her mother have the tools, nor did my great grandma have the tools or the understanding or the knowing of how to learn how to build healthy relationships, even when you're a little bean. So when I look at my own were it's like early onset codependency, transactional. I'll keep your secrets if you keep mine. I won't like your enemies if you don't like mine. And that became an idea of safe harbor. We're just looking, we're little bunnies, so little, in a foreign world called school that has adults we don't know yet and a whole hierarchy and culture. And we're just trying to get through it and not be alone, because even in our DNA, being alone means we won't survive. So if you just gave that a little thought, you'd say, oh, interesting how I learned this art of forming connections based on lack and fear. Then we get a sold a bill of goods. Remember, oh, blah, 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 friends, keep the old, some are silver, the other gold, which is the idea that you are, you should be connected to a friend in the same exact way for all of your days, whether it works or not, whether you grow together or not. And because, again, because of our training and because of culture, we don't like it when someone's mad at us. We don't like it when someone doesn't want to be friends with us anymore. So, again, there's more of that transactional thing, which is, all right, I'm going to put up with your shit. You put up with mine. Um, I will be passive aggressive. You will be passive aggressive. We'll be mad at each other. We'll needle each other because where we know where each other's wounds and triggers are. And um, it might even be that in my mind, I'll start putting you on trial and judging you, but we'll never speak those things. We won't speak of those things. There'll be all this internal relating going on that never gets said, that never gets addressed, that is never brought to light. So we're trained to feel bad when a friendship dies a natural death. Now, sometimes it just happens really easily. It's like you change schools, from grade school to junior high, it's a different school. Not everybody goes. If you're not in the same school, then that's hard. It's just things die a natural death. Or, I'm thinking of my friends, the disciples who lived across from me on Jacqueline Lane when I was young. And then their dad got transferred to Columbus, Ohio. I haven't seen them in years. I'm thinking of my friend across the street, Allison Bell, and who was a lovely friend. And we went to school together and we played Barbies and stuff like that. And her dad, Carl, got transferred. The next time I saw Allison, she was a guest on the Oprah show with a group of people that had survived that plane landing in the river of New York. Crazy. And we said hello. We were so glad to see each other. We took a picture and we haven't spoken again because life moves on. And that connection had its natural time and nothing wrong. Nothing wrong. Always, if I were to run into her, I'd be so glad to see her, but nothing wrong. So those are those things that have their natural place and time. Then there are other things where it gets more obvious about what happens when things change. Miracle on the Hudson. That's right, Angela. Thanks. When things change, like for any of you who's been divorced, the couple friends, what happens there? Now, I watched that in the last few years with my father. He and my mom married 55 years. She died in 2014. He had and their couple friends. They've had their couple friends. And I'd always be like, well, listen, I was being a little bit of a brat because I'd needle my mom. Are those really your friends? Do you really talk about anything that matters? I'm like, I think you're just like dining buddies. And no, they would talk about things. They would tell better stories of their children than reality was really. And, they would share their complaints. Um, and they would show up for each other's dinner parties and friend parties and things like that. And they spent tons of New Year's together and they would go on vacation together. But did they ever have real conversations about what was really going on in their hearts? I don't think so. I don't think so, or not very often. So for instance, so then my dad goes and gets a girlfriend. I mean, she isn't like a cocktail. No, I shouldn't say that. Take that back. Um, she's a grandma, Charlotte. She's a grandma. He gets a girlfriend, and then I notice not hanging out with the couple friends. Why is that? Why aren't you going to Florida with that gang of people you liked so much? And one of the reasons I can deduce is because things have changed. Things have changed. There's a discomfort with change. He's different now. Like like in their early days of dating, he'd throw on a tux and go to the symphony. And I'd just be like, Mom would have liked to see you in a tux and gone to the symphony. But they were too long in the tooth. He wasn't doing that. He could barely give her the remote. So what was difficult, I would imagine, for those wives of the couple friends is you're taking a look at what's going to happen if you make your exit. And it's not comfortable. So that's the thing. You've got those couple friends. So, what are the relationships that add value to our lives? I jotted down some notes because I was thinking about this. They're family members that you're close to and you're more like friends. You have a shared history, you socialize, you have trust. And even if you're not operating at the highest level of consciousness, there's there's something real going on there. There's something real and supportive going on there. Then you have those friends you just pick up along the way. Your kids played together. You went to the same church. You went to college together, and you still get together every now and then. And in that soup of people, there are going to be a few where the connection is deep. The connection is deep. You feel it. It isn't a temporary thing. It's deep and it's lasting. And I have some of those too. But what I want us to consider tonight, what I think is a juicy opportunity, is what happens when you decide that that very important relationship in your life, as important, I would say, as your intimate relationship, as important as any of your family relationships, is friendship, is that you've decided it's going to be intentional and conscious. What would that look like? What would that require of you? What value would that add? So I'm reading, someone was saying that how do you find friends at this stage of life? Well, I guess that is my that is my message. That is the heart of my intention and my message tonight, that if we can begin to shift our definition of friendship to match where we're going on this path of transformation, to match our ever expanding and widening hearts, to match this growth that we're experiencing, the excavation of our own knowing that's always been there, then my goodness, we're going to have to upgrade this too. And what does that look like? Well, I jotted some things down that feel like this is how I see it. This is how I would define it. And this is my proposition to you of something that you can begin to require for yourself, because it's a requiring. You know that the idea that you are just going to flippity floppity bump into your next soulmate friend at this stage of life who is as interested in growth and expansion as you are, I'm going to tell you that's difficult. That's difficult. But if you agree with what I'm saying, that you can feel that there is a need in this life experience that you have for real connection, that you want to be connected to people who are willing to walk a path with you of growth and deepening and expanding, then I'm going to tell you it's not as hard as it seems once you narrow it down and you require more of yourself. I mean, if you're just going to jump from hobby to hobby and hope that there's some chemistry, that's going to be tough. But if you're going to say, I'm going to do it differently than I've ever done before, I'm going to invest in this idea of the power of intentional friendship and the power, what that value add could mean for my life experience. So here are the qualities that define that for me. And then we're going to open it up and you and I are going to chat about this. Mutual enthusiasm for one another changing and growing. Okay, just sit with that. Mutual enthusiasm for one another changing and growing. Well, and think about some of your less successful ongoing friendships that you keep bringing forward. You're changed. You're different. I don't know if I like it. I want you to be the same as you were in 1972. I don't want you considering new ideas. I want you to be, and I want to do the same things we used to do, which means I want us to go in a corner and talk about everybody else. I don't want you to grow. Now, even if that isn't explicitly said, you know that feeling. I've had that feeling where I can go, oh, yeah, I'm rattling the cage. I'm rattling the cage. I'm taking the same old, what people could count on. And I have overturned the card table and we might not survive it. Mutual enthusiasm for one another changing and growing. The second quality is people who want the authentic you. They don't want the polished up, passive aggressive, I won't say anything to make you mad, you don't say anything to make me mad version. People who want the authentic you, the real you, the vulnerable you. People who see you and love to witness you. They just love to witness you. Yep, I see you. Yep, I know. Yes, I see you. People who want to be seen and witnessed by you. I did something really great today. Can I share it? Yes. Bravo. Why does everything good always happen to you? Anybody have somebody like that? Why do you get all the good luck? I never get the good stuff. You always get People who say, tell me more good stuff and don't stop until your mouth is so dry you can't speak. Keep going. Tell me all the good stuff. How many people in your life do you have to like put the good stuff in the drawer? Otherwise, it'll make them feel bad about themselves. Here's a good one. People who want a clean relationship where truth is told with love. Clean. No silent treatment. No, no more emojis on my text because I'm mad at you. That's a sign. You should understand that. People who want a clean relationship. It's like, hey, I could be wrong here, but I'm feeling a little something. What's going on? Clean, clean. You never have to try them by the jury in your mind. Can you believe that? And I would have said, and I should have said. All those games are over. People who do not play the transactional game. You do this for me, then I do this for you. You don't do this for me, then I'll be like, but I did that for you. And I did that for you. And I did that for you, which is a prison. We think we're being so generous. They think they're being so generous, but it's a transactional prison. And the minute we start being or doing and meeting those expectations, we run into trouble. Now, I did a workshop in November or end of October with Dr. Shafali, who's a big truth teller, and she calls that bullshit love. Said most of our love relationships are just bullshit. They're just transactional and codependent, and until we require more from ourselves and other people. Otherwise, we're just manipulating everybody, and we're being manipulated, and we don't like it, and neither do they. Intentional friendship. People who want to focus on where they're going. You'll hear their sad stories, the divorce, the kid who's not turning out right, the bad boss, once or twice. And then they move on. They release and they move on. They want to heal their wounds and triggers. They don't want to wallow in them. And listen, I have been guilty of that as anybody. I think of a friend I had for a long time, and Friday nights were fueled by, especially in our 20s and 30s, with lots of Chardonnay and lots of bitching. Wouldn't let it go, wouldn't let it go, wouldn't let it go. But that became the relationship. So what happens when one of you says, whoa, I don't want to live my life like this anymore. I don't want to behave this way. I don't want to be this way. Well, the balance is upset then. The agreement, those unspoken agreements of relationship are broken. Well, we've always done this. I don't want to do it anymore. Well, what are we going to do? Exactly. What are we going to talk about if we're not judging other people or complaining? Intentional friendships. People who are actively writing their new stories. Now, tons of you were in the challenge where we talked about writing our new story for 2022. And when you're writing your new story and you're focused on the future you're creating and manifesting, really hard to maintain a friendship with somebody who wants to stay in the past, wants to talk about the divorce that happened 20 years ago, or the bad boss at the job that they've had for 25 years and haven't left. It's a match problem at a certain point when you decide that you will not settle, you will not give airtime, you will not give moments of your precious life to relationships that aren't intentional and conscious. And lastly, I think an intentional friendship is you assume the best of one another. You assume the best of one another. The part of our brokenness is projecting our own flaws and failings on everybody who crosses our path. We don't do it on purpose. It's a wound. But we're suspicious. We think we're untrustworthy, so everybody else is too. So it's like, oh, I know what you meant by that. Do you? In an intentional friendship, there is such a solid basis of understanding of the connection, the value of it, the truth of it, that there's an assumption always first of assuming the best in someone else. And being able to have a loving conversation, to untangle. The misunderstandings are few and far between. You're not in the, what do you call that? I'm thinking of something my dad would say. Like, you're not in a timeout, every 3 weeks with somebody because you've inadvertently said, well, you made me feel. You said this and you made me feel. And you did this and you made me feel. Manipulation, manipulation. So that is the question for us. These friendships, especially if in your middle of life, you got a tote board full of them. Are they manipulations or are they intentional friendships? And it would be really worthwhile for you to answer that question. You're decluttering your house. You're decluttering your spirit. You are shoring up your emotional life and your emotional health. You are dreaming of a future that's clear and exciting and joyful. You're not going to get away with not taking a good look at this. You're not going to get away with it. Oh, you can ignore it for a while. I don't even know you anymore. I don't even know you anymore. Fine. Oh, so selfish. Fine. Be that way. I want to chat about this with you. I want to chat about this art of intentional friendship, the power of it. And I want to see what your experience is. Who wants to chat with me? Come on, be brave. Be brave. This is where we're going to get to the juicy part. Victoria, it's so cute. You won't leave me hanging. You just won't.
I'm brave.
You're brave. Okay, let's talk about it.
So I had shared before, I think, and some of you know, and some of you don't. So I live in Boston, and in the New Year's Eve going into 2021, I did a burn ceremony, and it was to bring new friends into my life. And I'm easygoing and I'm super friendly and I make friends very easy. However, I can honestly say that I have not ever made friends the way I've made them here in this group. And I just wanted some friends in Boston. I had no clue. And it really is a reminder that the universe is always for us and can do for us more than we can imagine, because I have been brought to this beautiful place.
Yeah, for sure. Well,
For
and
sure.
Victoria, what you're talking about, which I have not said anything about yet, that at later in this, I'm going to share with you the opportunity to become part of a platform that we've created called the support system. where it is nothing but intentional friendship. But
Well, I probably spoke too soon.
we will get to that later. I'm excited. That's so cute that you're excited about it, because I see a lot of my friends have shown up tonight. But Victoria, you know what I'm saying.
I have intentional friendships in a way that
Yeah,
I never thought possible. I mean, I get to meet you in person in May in Italy, and
yeah,
Courtney and Dana and
yeah,
Carissa. And then in June, I get to be with Marcy, and I get to be with Joanne when we go to a concert in Vegas and meet Ruthie. And the intentional friendships that have filled my heart from the people
yeah.
you've brought into my life are gifts from above.
Well, and the truth is, it's really having that moment when you realize that. I remember our good friend Becky um,
Mhm,
said, brought up in the first cohort of the course. She said, Sherry, what matters? And I'm like,
mhm.
everything. Everything matters as you're building this life of your dreams. Everything matters. You're just not going to get away with leaving a whole corner of your life undusted and uncleared out. It'll start screaming at you and screaming at you. So thanks, Victoria. I appreciate you. I appreciate you loving on,
I
loving on.
appreciate you and all of our sisters.
Yeah, for sure. Hi, Laura.
Hi. So I don't know if this is answer your question, but I just want to say that my model for my parents' communication was my dad would hold my mom hostage and complain every night. And
Mm,
so I have gotten into a habit of doing that sometimes, or at least focusing on the worst part. And the other thing I do now is I will talk to people and talk from a deep place that I can, and people go silent. They go, I don't want to talk about that. So
right.
finding people that I want to who want to talk deeply is my mission this year. So this is really great
Yeah,
that
I'm
you do this.
excited for you. Yes, I'm very excited for you that you know that you have, like, it matters you enough that you would even phrase it as a mission. Because listen, here's what I was feeling. I had this moment. I literally was weeping when we were preparing for the challenge that we did in the Facebook group. And I think we're streaming in Facebook right now, Court, right? And that's the big, large free community that I will always have, because everybody needs a seat at the table. And what was, as I was asking, as people were coming in and, sharing some things about themselves, like, what I can feel is this sense of loneliness
Mhm.
and aloneness. And, you know, someone was describing how they felt and said, yeah, but I have all these people, I have this, that. And it's like, connection's not a body count. Connection's not about body count, my friends. But I will tell you right now, and this is, we come by this honestly. This is nothing to judge ourselves for or beat ourselves up for, but we are used to taking the dregs, the leftovers from the buffet.
Mhm.
We are not used to requiring the cream of the crop for ourselves. We're just not. This is how it's got to be. There, da, 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 da. They really need me. What would they do? Listen, I watched my mom play that game all her life, and I never saw it bring her happiness.
Mhm.
I'm just like, if all this sacrificing yourself, doing things you don't want to do for people you don't want to do it for, is not bringing you joy, what in the hell is going on? It didn't add up for me. And she'd be like, because that's what you do, Sherry. Not everybody's like you. So selfish, and then I'd be put back in my place like, oh God, I'm so selfish. But there was a spiritual mystery about it to me. So I say to you, Laura, I think that's great that you have made that a priority, because it is the new way of being in this world, I think. It's deliberately and intentionally saying, this part of my life, the friendship part of my life, is not going to be just some, you know, um, leftover rummage sale table. This is going to be quality, quality, quality relationships with specific intentions that are mutually beneficial. So let's keep going, Laura. We're going to keep exploring that.
Okay. I also want to add that I
Yep.
want to feel fed. I want to feel fed by these conversations.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. And equally fun is the feeding.
Yeah.
Like the witnessing and being witnessed and witnessing and being witnessed when it is a relationship, a mutual relationship between equals that is dedicated to intention. And there's a bunch of different things, you can, not everybody has to cover all the topics of your life. So I'll get to that in a second, but thanks for bringing that up, Laura. I love that. Is it Shlomit?
Amit.
Shlomit. Hi, Shlomit.
Hi.
That's a beautiful name.
Thank you. This is so resonating for me. It's really interesting because I do feel like it's this time in my life where at the same time where I'm going through so much excavating and expansion, that I'm also experiencing so much contraction in terms of my relationships and friendships. It's like, it's actually really interesting.
Doesn't it make sense though? Like as we're thinking about it, doesn't it make sense?
Yeah.
You're rising. Not everybody's going to be a match.
Well, and I wonder if you can speak to how to really know when something, either when you need a break or when it's really done. Because I know of one situation, one very close friend that I've had for 30 years almost, who was one of my closest friends. And we don't live near each other, so we weren't in each other's lives on a daily basis, but it's the kind of friend where we were always, very close when we did speak. And then we had a situation where I said something that just disturbed her. It actually had to do with political stuff. So, yeah. But it wasn't any, like, we actually are pretty, like, probably, I would say we're like 98% aligned, right?
Yeah.
So it was a very slight kind of thing.
Yeah.
And she's very disturbed by just a lot of stuff and that's going on. And she couldn't handle it. And I didn't even know, but she was like just distancing herself from me. And now still she's trying to kind of rebuild, but she won't talk about it. And so I'm like, I felt like I was judged and just not accepted. Like you're saying, you need to feel like you have this place of mutual, acceptance. And how do you go on? How, can you go on from that? Is there grace that you give in a relationship in that way when some people just seem incapable of going to deeper levels, right? Like, and exploring and excavating.
Well, first of all, that's hard. So let's acknowledge that for you. That's hard. And let's also talk about that this is the fine tuning of this area of our lives. There isn't it isn't formulaic. So I would say this: is it a one-off? Is it a pattern? Have you felt this way before? And I think I think grace is always good. And even in a friend breakup or a growing apart, there should be grace. Like sometimes we don't know how to end things. So we cause a big ruckus and then we act like it's because we're mad. And I've done that too. And now I got to sit with the ruins of what I created and I really can't fix. And I'm like, did you need to do that? Couldn't you have just been like, gosh, we've really grown apart. Let's honor the time we were together and let each other off the hook. Now, for you, I would say this. In context of this conversation, it's worth you considering, do you want a friend a friendship, a relationship, a friendship, not a friend, because let's not make it about a person, but do you want a relationship where things get glossed over? And listen, not everything has to be picked apart and scrutinized under a microscope. I'm not really interested in those kinds of relationships either. But when there's trouble, when something troubling happens, do you want that? Do you want it to be glossed over? And I think you get to say, I don't want to have a relationship in my life where a difficulty between us is glossed over. So can we revisit it and just get to peace here?
Yeah, that's what
Eh,
that's
Yeah.
what I want to do. And it's hard. She's having a really hard time even just having that
Yeah.
conversation.
Well, you don't get to tend to her garden. That's the darn truth about things. And it's the disappointing news that we can't get people to behave the way we want them to behave. And in our spiritual growth and expansion, what other people decide to do cannot be rocking our boat. That is always external from us. That is always their decision. And we can be curious, we can be, but that feeling that we're all familiar with of uncomfortability, our stomachs churning, we can't think of anything else because someone's mad at us, that feeling. Um, we got to grow up from that. We got to grow up from that. Someone can be mad at us and we will survive it. Someone can decide that they don't want to be friends with us anymore and we will survive it. And we can let go with grace. And someone can be mad at us and we can shoot them grace, we can shoot them love, but we can also say, I don't want to have a friendship where things get glossed over. So let me give you space. And should you decide you want to have a conversation, I'm here.
Yeah, that's actually exactly what I did. And that's when
Brilliant.
it took a year and she came back, but now she's kind of saying, okay, I'm she's recognizing that I want to shine the light and have that conversation. But she's
Yeah.
like, I don't want to shine the light. And I feel like you don't have empathy for me that I don't want to have this conversation. So I'm like the aggressor.
Yeah. Well, all of these, the knowing of this really is, it's always, we look at ourselves first, right? How have I been triggered? How am I trying to manipulate? What are my unhelpful patterns involved here? And once we do that, then it's a feeling thing. It's a feeling thing. Like, does this feel off? Does this feel off? And then, I mean, what would happen if you just let it lay there? Would you probably not hear from her again?
I'm letting it lay there. Like our last
Yeah.
conversation was, was the beginning, what I thought was the beginning of the conversation, but it was cut short because she had a doctor's appointment scheduled. And she said, she'd like to continue the conversation. And I said, okay. And I said, let me know when you do. I'm here.
Mm,
That was a week ago. So,
okay. Well, let's give that a little bit more time. We'll give that a little bit more time. But, you chasing after someone who doesn't want to have the conversation that you need to have in order to be in integrity with yourself, that's not going to work.
Yeah.
Behaving in a new way in this area is going to take some practice for every single one of us. It's going to take some practice. And so, yay for you that you're willing to practice. And it also means for all of us, I'm sure many people here tonight are like, oh, there's some goodbyes I need to say. Well, and it's also fair to grieve. I grieve the relationship that I thought I could have with you. I grieve the relationship that I wanted to have with you. But I only have so much time on this planet, and I have no time to waste. I often say these words, how much time do you think you have? And really, I'm saying that to myself, but I share it with you because it's a sobering, it cuts out the nonsense. How much time do you think you have, Sherry? How much time? And I also, when I use that word integrity, that's aspirational for me. I want to be integrity with myself and my values. And I want to have my own back. And I want to be a trustworthy, I want to be able to count on myself to be there for me. And that means I gotta shine the light on behavior that doesn't match it. And I'm gonna have to grieve some relationships that can't stand up to that. And it's not their fault because I made a different bargain to begin with. And I'm the one who's changed. So that's where the grace comes in. Instead of blaming them, like, I said the word rise up, and that's not really what I mean. What I mean is because someone who isn't as far along on the path of transformation as you are is not less than. It's just different. Not a match. Not a match. That not a match, that comes from Jerry of Abraham Hicks, Jerry who made his transition some years ago. And that's how he would describe it. He never said, I don't like that person. I don't want to be friends with that person. He would just say, not a match, not a match, because there's no judgment in it. It's just an acknowledgement that you're not an energetic match for one another. So thanks for sharing that story. I appreciate that. That was helpful. That was helpful to make that point. Shannon, hi.
Hi, thanks for having us. This is awesome.
Yeah.
Two things are resonating with me, and one is assuming the best of one another. And I recently had an encounter with a friend where she let we're great, we're compatible, we're simpatico, we're growing, but she let her story run wild and make a bad assumption about me. Yet she had some light to shine on a behavior that I had, but didn't do it out of love. Instead, did it out of assuming the worst.
Yeah.
And the conversation that I had to have at that point was, you're welcome to come to me at any time and shine the light if I'm being inflexible or, in a way that is not like complementary to our friendship. But if you believe that I am out to hurt you or harm you or not love you, then we are not compatible as friends, because know better, know better. And it really shifted everything in terms of coming boldly, but like in a place of love that says that's not what friends do. So that's one comment about, that assuming the best, but also holding that boundary for myself to say, that's how I know I show up in friendships, is giving my best.
Well, and listen, here is the truth. And again, we've been trained. We're learning new things. We're considering new, like even tonight, this conversation. For many of us, it's the first time that we're considering this. A new point of view, a new lens on an important area of our lives. So, doesn't it stand to reason that this can be tricky territory? And often when we are mad at somebody or we feel slighted, there is a little bit of projection going on. We've made some assumptions ourselves. Mm-hmm. So these clearing, truthful conversations are always, you say, okay, I didn't want you to feel that way. And gosh, I felt terrible that you felt that way. And let's talk about why that landed you on, like it is a mutual unpacking
Yeah.
90% of the time.
Yeah. And the other piece, Sherry, is I find through awakenings and excavation, which I feel like I've been in a path for 5 years, just
Yeah.
uprooting, you start to attract the people that are like-minded, right? Or you know the friends that have been with you along the journey that are willing to support you, even when you need to put up a big boundary while you go through the process.
Yep.
But the re-entry, and I know that's what this really is talking about, that re-entry to come back, family's one thing. That's like a whole nother talk. But, the re-entry to do it still in that respectful, mutual way, I think I've just found, it's being as honest as you can
Yeah.
about this is what's working for me and this is the path that I'm choosing,
I think there you go. And that was one of the things, like when I was saying, what are the attributes of an intentional friendship? It is people who want a clean relationship, both people.
Right.
It isn't let's pretend like we stopped talking to each other for a month because I had my knickers in a knot over something, and I've had plenty of those kinds of relationships. And I was more than happy to go along sweeping all that under the rug. And let's just go have some Chardonnay and pretend like that didn't happen. But there's a price to that.
Yeah.
And the price is I'm not in integrity with myself.
Yeah, my word and focus this year has been reallocation of everything, energy, resources, time. And if it's sitting in the corner with the Chardonnay gossiping, like you said, which is so real.
Yes.
It's not the best use of my energy.
And how much time do you think you get?
That's right.
And what do you think? It's like when I say, when I heard that come out of my lips, everything matters. Everything matters. You can do all your mantras and your triangle breath meditations and all that razzmatazz and walk around the block and drink your filtered water and all that. But if you're engaging in those kind of destructive behaviors, you are not creating the life of your dreams.
Right.
You are not a match to the vibration of that life you say you want. Stop doing that. And if somebody is not willing to be in relationship with you, if you decide to change that, then there's nothing to be done about that. But I see you. I love you. God bless you. Goodbye.
Yep.
Thanks, Shannon. Hi, Anita.
Hello. I feel like I'm fortunate enough to say that I've had a lot of really good, trusting relationships with many of my friends, even my family. And I don't know if it's the environment I grew up or the part of the country I grew up, but people that I hang out with are very genuine and honest and sincere. And I feel fortunate in that. And even as I say that, though, I've had my fair share of people who have had to leave my life for whatever reasons. So, and I've learned over time that it's just best to just let it go and let them be and move on. It's not worth my agony to try to hang on to it. I will suffer for a while, but then I'll look at it and just say, you know what, I guess we're not in alignment any longer, and that's the way it needs to be. And I wanted to challenge you on one more thing that you said earlier. You said something about that if you think you're going to find a partner or a friend who's going to be on a path like you are, like a male, I think, I assume you were talking about earlier, is not likely to happen.
Oh, no, I didn't say that. That's not what I meant. No.
Well, I was going to say my mantra with you has been like, I'm willing to see the possibilities. So I think that.
Yes. Oh, yeah. Oh, listen, you cannot be on this path and not. I don't think you can have an intimate relationship with somebody who's not open to the path. You know what I mean? Once you're on it, that's when things get really, really tricky. And on the path doesn't mean that you're showing up for our workshops. You know what I mean? But it's asking those questions, expanding, growing. Oh no, I think that's really, I think, I think that's the dream. Don't you, Anita?
Yeah. I mean, I'm in the process of like ending a relationship and hoping to find somebody who fits me better.
Yes.
So,
Well,
so
yeah,
I think it's entirely possible.
as do I. As do absolutely, absolutely I. And I feel like what the premise of this conversation is the more you do this work, you can only be a match to the other people on this path.
I love that. Thank you. Yep.
I mean, so if you look around and people are falling away and your love life's falling apart and your marriage is on shaky ground, it's because you're not a vibrational match anymore
Yeah.
because you
Agreed.
shifted so much.
Mm-hmm.
And that's the truth. So you are going to draw in people who are a match
Yep.
to what you value, what you focus on, to that story you're telling yourself, to those that dream pot you're stirring in your dreams, to the possibilities you're calling into your life. I mean, listen, that's what happens when you raise your vibration. You require yourself to stay focused on telling the story of what you want, not what went wrong in the past. Your life is going to change.
Mm-hmm.
And it doesn't mean you're going to get your colors done and wear new clothes. Your life is going to change. You're going to draw different people in. You're going to be sitting here on Monday having this conversation
Mm-hmm.
instead of binging on the new show on HBO that I'm going to be watching later. What is it? It has some good people in it. But that's what I'm saying. It's like your life is going to change. It's going to change so much. And it's including the people. So better you get a handle on this idea. And instead of just watching everybody drop like flies because they're not a match to you, understand what you want for yourself. You want intentional intimacy. You want
Mm-hmm.
an intentional romantic partnership. You want intentional friendships. You want intentional relationships with the people in your family that you love. You want that. You want intentional co-working relationships. Thanks, Anita.
Yep.
Thanks for letting me clear that up. Angela, hi.
Hi, Sherry. You are just such a gift. I want to just say that this conversation is like fuel, water, spirit. It's just doing so much. It's so timely. And your comments in the last conversation about you can only be a match to others who are on the path, that was the answer to the question I was initially going to ask. I have found that in the past 2 years between you and Kathy Heller, I'm growing and I say I love myself the most. I want some of that. I'm open to the possibilities, and I do the 3-3-3 breathing and meditation every day. All that's new. I'm losing people who aren't on the same path, but I don't feel sad about it. What I don't know is, do you let it die a natural death, as in they just float away, or do you you said maybe I'm double checking, do you say something like it's been really good for the past 20 years? um, and in other words, how do you what
Yeah,
is appropriate to
that's a really good question, Angela. And I'm going to say that's of course that's going to be case by case. And of course that's going to be like you sitting with your own spirit and having your own knowing, like this requires a conversation, or let it go, let it go, let it go. You know what I mean? You play that music, you put your hands in the sky, you go, mwah, mwah, mwah. I send you off with grace, and no need to have a big hootenanny about it. Um, Lean into what feels good. Not everything has to have a formal ending, but lean into what feels good.
Yeah, thank you for that. In my mind, I'm really appreciative of this conversation because I've sat most of January just trying to be. Normally, I'm a giver and I'm always super active, but I decided I want different in 2022. In your challenge where you talked about your mom and the green plaid couch, it reminded me of my two friends who passed, real quick by my standards. And I think every day, how much time do I have, right? And I'm like, you know what? Even if it's 20 years or 10 years, whatever, I want every day to be really full. So I have a lot less tolerance for people who are just complaining or talking about the same stuff. And your point tonight about give them grace because you're the one who grew, not them. I'm like, okay, that helps. So I think I'm going to sit with it for another week.
Or they're
and
growing in a different way. It isn't even like, like they're growing in a different way. Like you really don't have to, once you get into the judging of how much they've grown and why they haven't, and sometimes we go to that tallying things up because we feel bad about the ending. So the cure for that is don't feel bad about the ending. Endings are ending. Listen, you're always connected because the degree of love that you shared, and just know that your life is going to continue to change. It's going to
so
continue to change.
I think I'm just double check my instinct. I'll think about it some more and just make it a lofty question, but my instinct says bless and love them and release.
Yeah.
And just sort of let what will be, versus trying to have a formal ceremony. In my past, I would have tried to put everything in a box.
Oh yeah, me too.
I think I'm just gonna.
Me too. Everybody, like, please let me invite you to my termination of our friendship. Please wear your best outfit. I'll serve snacks.
Thank you, Sherry. You're a real gift. Thank you.
That right up. Thanks, Angela. I love this so much in the chat. So, Janlandia and Co. My husband is not on the same path as me, and I'm glad for that. I would not grow if we were transformational twins. I love that so much. Here's what I'm going to say, though. There is a vibrational, energetic match somewhere around there. It doesn't mean that he's doing the practices that you do or something like that, but there's something. There is some sort of something, and there is some gift that he's getting from your walking on the path of transformation, for sure. But I love that. I love that so much. I would not grow if we were transformational twins. Listen, I'm out there looking for a man. I don't know that I want my transformational twin. I don't think I want that. I think I want something different. Hi, Dawn.
Hi, Sherry. Thanks so much for all the gems. And one of the things that's really struck me is the mutual enthusiasm for each other.
Yeah.
And I've been experiencing that lately with a good friend. And I'm thinking, I always am so excited and happy for people when things are going good, and I'm uplifting and I try to be supportive. I am supportive. And I've noticed a friend of mine, it's every time there's nothing ever said, there's no like encouragement or anything. And I'm thinking, it really struck me today. And when you talked about that quality, I just thought to myself, we want to be helpful to each other. And in here, we do listen to each other. I love the fact that this group is sacred and it's trusting, and I love listening to everybody.
Me too.
Because it's jewels. And what Angela just said was everything that I echo that. And I appreciate that, because this conversation it's so juicy and deep and needed I feel for my transformation. And, I've realized that people who are in, complaining, and it's fine to vent. We all need to do that. And we all need a safe space. to grieve certain relationships and
Yeah.
things that are going on in life. That's one thing. But I have learned, and I'm very discerning now, I'm sending love and light. I can love from afar, but I don't need to be in their daily, weekly, monthly drama
Yeah.
and negativity. It's just not something I'm doing anymore. I haven't done for a while, and it's working for me. But this mutual enthusiasm, I mean, my goodness, it's so exciting to cheer other people on and cheer myself as well. I mean, I just love that. And I think this is a fantastic conversation
Isn't it
to
good?
have on a Monday evening. So
I
thank you for
know.
that.
Well,
Yeah.
listen, gosh darn it. That is so right. This is a fantastic conversation to have on a Monday night because this is a topic that matters to all of us. We are connectors. We like to connect, and there is a dearth of that. There just is. It's like, um, without without a place to go to cheer for people and be cheered, where there aren't any strings attached and there's no manipulation, and there is a sense of, I require you to be intentional, and I will be intentional with you, and I will show up and you show up, and let's see what magic we can create together.
Love it.
Let's see what we can both take from that stew, of our both of us putting something in. I was writing down, so here's the next piece of that. What does an intentional friendship doesn't need to mirror your best friend from high school? An intentional friendship could be you're starting a business, you have an intentional friendship with somebody else who's starting a business, and your time together is really talking about, what your fears are, how you're breaking through them. So that's like your intentional entrepreneurial friendship. Then it's like, maybe you really want to get healthy, and it isn't like, it's not like the olden days where, the neighbors would go on a walk together necessarily. So maybe you find an intention, a person, because we live in an age where I can have you in my house and you're from all over the world,
It's
and we
fantastic.
can have intimacy, and we can have these meaningful conversations. Maybe it's somebody that you're on a body journey with. Maybe it's the generic transformation. It's like all of it.
Mm.
And here's what I know. And you bring this point up, Dawn. Your conversation reminds me about who I be and the life I want to live. And here's what I know about me. I need those reminders all the darn day long.
Yeah.
Because I can let months go by, and I have in my life let months go by with being unconscious and not being intentional. So I know myself, and I know that I hear you speak that and I go, yep, that's true for me too. I want everybody to hang around till the end, because we're gonna close with the triangle breath tonight. Thank you, Dawn. And I'm gonna try to get to you 4. I'm gonna tell you all about the support system, because we really want to invite you into our intentional friendship circle. Donna, what did you want to say? Oh, you're in mute, hon.
I think you should talk about your support system. I was going to just clearly I have a lot to say about my friendships, being a single person, and the people that have stood aside me and supported me. And I'm always like, I always feel like the pig pen remedial child, and why they have such a strong supportive connection to me. And they do, 3 friends in particular. But about this intentional thing, and of all the friends I have, and a lot, I'm a social single person. One person I knew would show up, and wouldn't even, we're friends like family forever, but I haven't spoken in 3 years. We had to reconnect and figure out what our email addresses were. And the person I thought would do this, I don't even care if I have another word with anymore. It's just, she's falling away. I'm offering pearls and getting
That's
nothing.
funny.
Yeah, I mean, some of my friends I'd love to have here, they're just too busy. You know, they can't do it, but they're on the same path that if they see me rise,
For sure. For
they're
sure.
there. They're there to help
listen.
me at all times.
And we
And
are
I feel very fortunate for that.
We
And
do.
I've also will say there was a time in my life where people thought me aloof, which is another conversation altogether, because I was so picky about who I would be around, but that's another conversation.
All right, Donna, you are.
Thank
doing
you
it.
so much.
Thanks, Donna.
Bless you.
Bless you.
Thank you, Miss Sherry, so
Yes,
much.
I love it when you show up. Is this Shinin?
Yeah.
Shinin? You're on mute. There you go. Hello.
Is that it? Yeah.
There you are. There you are. Hi.
So, hi, I saw this on, I guess, Facebook,
Yeah.
and I just, I have notes around my apartment on being intentional and speaking my intention into each moment and each activity. I'm practicing doing that because I find myself, oh, you didn't even speak your intention. But anyway, in my life, I have noticed friends falling away. And I used to have so many friends, I had to hide my telephone, you know, because I could feel it when it rang. And it's like,
Yeah.
oh, somebody needs me. And I'm the people pleaser. And I was the
That's right.
middle in a large Catholic family where you had to help everybody and take care of everybody. And I restarted transcendental meditation, which I learned almost 50 years ago, and it's
Wow.
changed my vibration.
Yep.
And my goal is to be a vibrational match to becoming a published writer or published author. I've had 6 international translations of different stories, so I've got some
Wonderful.
Girl Scout badges in the writing area.
That's good.
But to have an intentional, like entrepreneurial, self-publishing friend partner or this group, I mean, it's fabulous.
Yep. I'm going to tell you all about it in a second, and your head's gonna go, oh my God, because we also have a writers group, so it's really, really great.
Well, I am blessed to be in Al-Anon for 10 years, and in the past 3 years, it's been on Zoom. So it's much like this, people in recovery, people sharing their stories and their wins and encouraging and, you know, taking on living an aligned life. And so I want to pick up my laptop and kiss all of you.
We'll take it. We'll take it. We'll take it. Thank you so much. Thank you so much. Thank you for that love. You're love bombing everybody. Thank you for that. I appreciate that. Unique, I want to get to you. And then Loved.
Hi, Sherry. How are you?
Hello. I'm so good. How are you, my friend?
I'm very well. Thank you so much for this session. I guess for me, my key question would be, is it okay not to sort of have these permanent friendships, but as you were saying, these intentional friendships, because I just started on a health and wellness journey. And, I had an intentional friend who was actually pushing me, and we walked together, but,
Love that.
she
So
specifically for
good.
that. And then I have a friend who I'm doing business with, and, she's intentional about helping our business grow. So is it okay to have these different intentional friendships, but not necessarily, having these personal friendships per
Yeah.
se
Well,
that you can then say,
first of all, you are the one who decides if it's okay. So let me say that,
mhm,
because you are your own wise elder. But what I'm proposing is yes, 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 yes. A person doesn't have to be all the things. They can be your
yeah,
business bud. You can have your body bud, your health and wellness bud. You can have your, the
mhm,
person who like goes to workshops with you. And then you discuss things later. You can have your book club buddy.
yeah,
I think looking at an intentional, which is, I think the days of you have to be just like me and we have to think the same way and we have to, in order for us to be friends, I think that's very old fashioned. And I think we're all here on Zoom on the leading edge. Maybe there's a whole new way for us to assemble the group of people that we want to bring value to their lives. They're going to bring value to our lives. And we're going to have this
mm,
delicious stew of dreaming things up and manifesting them together.
yeah, yeah. That's so good, Sherry. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Yini. Hi, loved, it says you are loved.
I am loved and loving. We're trying to be.
Yes.
First, I wanted to say aloha, and I'm in the middle of the sea. And I thank you all
Aloha,
for the, yeah. And
my
I wanted
fave.
to thank you all for what you said earlier about let and release. I recently did that with someone, and in the conversation with that, I said, all I can say at this point is God bless you. I release you to your highest and best. I release myself to our highest and best. And whatever that may be, if our paths cross in the future, that's a new day and we'll start fresh, go with God. And I also practice the belief in the basic law of physics. No two things can occupy the same space at the same time. And as you said, Sherry, we don't know how much time we have. So do I want to spend that time with someone I don't feel valued by simply because we used to work together? Or am I going to put myself out there with my free hug and send out love and kindness to the world and affirm that it will be reciprocated in time?
Well, loved, I love that. I love that so much. Thank you for that. I mean, I think the piece here for all of us to kind of look at for ourselves is getting comfortable with letting go.
Well, and for me, that's where the basic law of physics come in. For me, it's because of if I'm holding on to something, then my hand is open to receive something better.
That's right.
So, and love is a nickname. My actual name is Billy. Everybody calls me Billy or BJ, but
thank you.
My spiritual is to send out love and be loved in return. So that's why the love.
I love that, and I honor that. I think that's great, and I receive your love.
Thank you.
You're beaming it right now. Thank you. So many of you came to this conversation. We talked about it in my free Facebook community, which is 9,000 and growing. Such a great group. Some of you are inside my private membership group, the support system, my friends from there. And some of you are friends of members of the support system, and you came to kind of see what it's all about. So here's what I want to say, and then I'm going to tell you about how you can be a part of it if it's interesting. If you attended the challenge, you know that what I wanted to make sure that everybody could leave within 5 days with something that could a different perspective, something that could cause a shift. And that was the precursor to my 12-week course, which I do twice a year. And that's 12 weeks of, 20 something, 30 hours of workshops. I'm in the middle of that. I'm
Oh my
starting,
God.
I'm starting week 2 right now. So we just finished the registration for that. And if you weren't able to do it this time, I hope you can do it. I'm going to open up registration again in June. So I do that twice a year. And when the time is right in your life, the time will be right in your life, because it's a very valuable experience, mostly because of you. And so what I realized last year when I was moving the first cohort through the experience was that we need a place to go. We need a fire pit that we can gather around and have these conversations and these workshops. And it needs to be off social media. You know, what we do in this Facebook group is fine. But when we want to get really into it and really intimate and really vulnerable, we need to be off this platform. So I founded a private membership group called the Support System. And I 3 times a year, I'm looking to bring in new people. And it is founded as an intentional friendship opportunity. And we have, I think of it as very much a sacred circle. And we have various groups of interests where people can find each other for those intentional relationships, whether they be entrepreneurs or looking to up their work. I guess, Court, I have some slides, don't I? Can you help me? Put up a slide.
Yes, please. Give me 1 second, friend.
Okay. Because we're going to offer some bonuses, and we're going to keep that open until February 1st. So Courtney is.
Give me 1 second. Courtney's having tech troubles.
Okay. Well, I'll keep talking. So basically, it is a big, huge group that offers intentional friendship and the possibility for that. And it is super private. And I do a workshop every month. I bring in an expert to do a masterclass every month. There's a weekly gathering that members come to meet one another and to share their wins for the week. I bring in, I have a breathwork expert, Ellen Wong, who I just love. She comes in every couple months and does a free breathwork, 90-minute breathwork workshop. We have a transformational artist, Stephanie Chin, that does workshops in the group. And we have a writer's workshop every month where writers share their writing and their path to publication or improving their blogs, and they share their writing, and they're seen and then they can be seen. But mostly I look at it as a place that I can go to give myself these very reminders about what matters to me and where I'm placing my importance. So there it is. I love this illustration so much. So the support system, I call it the how to stay on track, how to become a trustworthy steward of your life, how to create healthy boundaries, how to say no, how to develop healthy supportive friendships, how to create the esteemable practices, one of my hallmark things that elevate your life, how to turn in the direction of happiness, how to excavate your own knowing, how to build a spiritual practice, how to transform your life experience. Now, I can make that big promise because of all of the members. Because the people who are inside this group are committed to the path. And it's not a cult-like thing. It is hey, this is the conversation I want to have. I want to be witnessed, and I want to witness other people. And I want to remind myself that this is what matters. What's next, Court? So here's what you get. Monthly workshop with me, just like we did tonight. Weekly gathering with Courtney. Courtney's our lead mentor. She leads that weekly gathering, and it's where people go to stay accountable. And we have curated content We are the gentle reminders of the life you say you want. And then, of course, we have the monthly workshop with top experts. We've had Martha Beck on with her book, Kathy Heller, Dr. Shafali, Bullshit Love. I talked about her earlier, Mark Groves, and so many more. And next, Cody.
This is the next one.
Oh, yes. So when you take the course, you'll have access to the private alumni group. We do a book club every 6 to 8 weeks. We just had our book club meeting last week. So I'm getting ready to announce another book. We have the writer's circle for people who want to work on their, and most of all, it is a place to go. I look at it as part of my morning spiritual practice. I light a candle, I put my hands in my heart, and I will go and look for a post, a share, a something that reminds me of this intentional life I want to live. Next, Cordy. Oh, even more stuff. So we have groups, the Dream Work group, Body Journey group, people who are working on their relationships with their bodies. And then we have a library of workshops that, the library of workshops is, $7,000 to $8,000 value alone. And so is the next one what it costs, Cordy? Yep. So until February 1st, it's $67 a month. And then you can save 14% by going $697 annually. And on February 1st, the price goes up. So now's the time. If this speaks to you, if you could feel your heart rattling as we were talking about this critical topic about how we find our people, I found a way for us to find our people. I found a way. And we've got some bonuses, don't we, Court?
We do. So we do not have a bonus slide, but we have a few bonuses.
Okay, you talk about them.
Yeah. So our first bonus, guys, is so most of you probably participated in the Write Your New Story 2022 workshop, which we did last week as a great offering. Well, 2 weeks ago now, and those videos went away. But if you join the support system now, up to this next week, when we launch our new pricing, you get that replay bundle with all of the workshops, all of the downloadable workbooks, all of the gems by transformational artist Stephanie Chin. I mean, gosh, that's priceless. That's priceless.
That's good. It's priceless. You also get the ticket to our spring retreat.
Virtual retreat.
Our virtual retreat. And that is when we, I think we do an early bird pricing, but the price of the ticket, I think, is $600. So, and we do a full day of workshops and healing sessions and things like that. And we did one in November. It turns out it's one of my favorite things. I loved it so much. And then we're about ready to do a triangle breath meditation together. We have a new bundle of triangle breath meditations, a digital bundle, and you'll get that as well if you join now. So we're gonna send out some more emails and stuff, but the time is now. Join before the price goes up. And for all of you lovelies, my friends who are already in the support system, the price that you joined at is the price you will keep forever. Your price will never go up. So Laura, yes, that's a really good question. Isn't this part of the 12-week course? Well, if you took the course, you got a free 3-month membership. So you and your cohort could meet in a private group. And then when the course is done, you're going to have the opportunity to join at the price right now. So it's good. It's one of the best things I've ever produced, I got to say. And it's because the members show up, because the time is right, because we're lonely, because we want to be connected. We want to have these conversations with like-minded people. We're looking for our people. And so I have corralled them together. And we want you with us. We want you with us because the more we add to this circle and to this conversation, the better it gets, the more powerful it gets. And I am a person who believes that this is how we change the world. by elevating our own lives until we are just like love bombing people, because the joy is overflowing. The better it gets, the better it gets, the better it gets. Okay, everybody, we're going to do my favorite practice. I do it. I start every workshop or end every workshop with this inside the support system. It's my favorite thing. It takes 2.5 minutes. It is a practice you can do until you draw your very last breath. And it works. You ready, Court? Okay, everybody, close your eyes. Take a deep breath in. Sigh it out. Deep breath in. Sigh it out. And I want you to picture in that blank screen between your eyes, where your third eye rests, this mantra: I'm willing to see the possibilities. I'm willing to see the possibilities. I'm willing to see the possibilities. Deep breath in, sigh it out. Now you're going to sip like a straw, and we'll do 5 counts in, a 5 count hold, and a 5 count exhale. And I'm going to count you through it. So just listen and follow my counts. Inhale, 2, 3, 4, 5. Hold, 2, 3, 4, 5. Exhale, 2, 3, 4, 5. Inhale, 2, 3, 4, 5. Hold, 2, 3, 4, 5. Exhale, 2, 3, 4, 5. Inhale, 2, 3, 4, 5. Hold, 2, 3, 4, 5. Exhale, 2, 3, 4, 5. Inhale, 2, 3, 4, 5. Hold, 2, 3, 4, 5. Exhale, 2, 3, 4, 5. Inhale, 2, 3, 4, 5. Hold, 2, 3, 4, 5. Exhale, 2, 3, 4, 5. Deep breath in, sigh it out. Deep breath in, sigh it out. I'm willing to see the possibilities. I'm willing to see the possibilities. I'm willing to see the possibilities. I'm willing, I'm willing, I'm willing, I'm willing. You can open your eyes. I loved our time together. I loved this conversation. This is the conversation that matters, that we deserve to be in relationship where we are celebrated, adored, and supported. And we get to return that celebration, that adoration, and that support. And the sooner we start realizing that we have no more time to waste, and we have to require that our relationships meet that standard of quality, because we're requiring that quality of ourselves, the better our lives get. And it can change in an instant. It can change in an instant. You wake up tomorrow to a whole new life. It can change in an instant. Every day you are born again and you get another shot. So you're writing that new story. Write one about some of these relationships that matter most. And I hope we see you inside the support system. We would love to welcome you. Court, the links up all over the place. People are putting their links up. I love that so much. We love you, love you, love you. We welcome you. We encourage you. We invite you. We hope we see you there. So much love. Thanks for showing up, everybody.
Bye, guys. Feel free to unmute and say hi to your new besties.
Oh,
Bye.
bye.
Thank you so much.
Bye.
Bye. Bye.
Thank you.
Besties. I love you guys. Sharing with you.
Joanne,
Thanks,
Deb.
Joanne.